Announcements by Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, I have to report to the House as follows. Prior to and during the proceedings of the Assembly at the sitting of 18 July 2024, certain members, all belonging to the Labour Party, the MMM, and the Nouveau Démocrate, continually hindered the proceedings by screaming and making loud and noisy interruptions. Scandalous slogans and insults were preferred in an attempt to impugn the very legitimacy of the election of the Speaker and to hamper its due process. This behavior was intended to undermine the integrity of the constitutional office of the Speaker and the dignity of the National Assembly as a whole. At the same time, these members caused irredeemable damage to the image of the nation in the eyes of the world. Honourable members, the election of the Speaker was conducted by the clerk in accordance with sections 32.4 and 32.6 of the Constitution and the provisions of Standing Orders 7, 1 and 2. Let me remind honourable members that it is not the first time that the office of Speaker has become vacant before the dissolution of the Assembly. It is a fact that this very procedure was the one adopted in electing to the office of Speaker first Mr. Iswa Deo Sitaram on 4 December 1990, following a motion by then Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Sir Anirudh Jaknath. Second, Sir Ramesh Jiulal on 23rd January 1996, following a motion by Prime Minister Dr. the Honourable Navin Chandra Ramgoolam. Thirdly, Mr. Abdul Razak Mohamed Amin Pirou on 24 July 2012, following a motion again by Prime Minister Dr. the Honourable Navin Chandra Ramgoolam. Members of Parliament know that the appropriate forum to challenge the legality of the election of the Speaker is neither for the House nor in the press, but the Supreme Court of Mauritius. I must also report to the House that members of Parliament have disobeyed the order for suspension from the service of the Assembly imposed upon them, which is yet another unprecedented occurrence in our Parliament. This House will certainly recall that on 5th July 2024, Honourable Rajesh Bhagwan was suspended for the day sitting and the ensuing 5 sittings. On 9 July 2024, Honourable Eshan Juman was suspended for the day sitting and the ensuing 6 sittings. And on July 12, 2024, Honourable Joanna Béranger was suspended for the day sitting and the ensuing 3 sittings. Despite their suspensions, at the sitting of 18 July 2024, Honourable Joanna Béranger, Honourable Rajesh Bhagwan, and Honourable Eshan Juman have forcefully made their way to the door of the chamber in breach of the standing orders, whilst they were not allowed to have access to any part of the precincts of the House, which includes all parts of the building on a sitting day. According to report submitted by the Sergeant at Arms, when refused access, the 3 suspended honourable members stated that they had received a convocation to attend the sitting by email from the office of the clerk. After verification, it has been confirmed that no such convocation had been addressed to them. This gross disorderly conduct was aggravated by the fact that the honorable members not only obstructed proceedings of the Assembly, but also found it apt to insult the newly elected Speaker in a language that has no place in Hansard. This occurred whilst I was making my way to my office from the chamber after I had suspended the sitting by reason of the great disorder that had paralyzed the proceedings of the Assembly. I leave this important matter to the appreciation of the House. As my third announcement, I shall now address the issue of the waiving of suspension of Honorable Joanna Béranger, Honorable Rajesh Bhagwan, and Honorable Eshan Juman from the service of the Assembly. One can only regret that the Honorable Leader of Opposition has limited his endeavor to have the said suspensions waived to mere statements made in the press, rather than by following established procedures which are clearly laid down in our standing orders. Let me remind the House that the Speaker cannot, on his own volition, reverse or otherwise deal with the resolutions of the Assembly which suspended the said honourable members from the service of the Assembly. The said suspensions may only be dealt with by resolution of the Assembly following the appropriate motion being made in accordance with our standing orders. The onus is now on the honourable members who stand suspended from the service of the Assembly to tender unreserved apologies to the House or for an appropriate motion to be made in the House by their colleagues. I deplore the approach taken by the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, who has chosen to throw ultimatums on the House, in the press, that is, that the opposition shall abdicate from its role in the Assembly at today's sitting unless and until the suspension of honourable members is lifted, whilst being oblivious to due process established by standing orders and practice. For Parliament to properly function, the participation of members of the opposition in the business of the Assembly is essential. I will also leave that to the appreciation of the House. For my fourth announcement, concerning questions falling under the purview of the local authorities. Honourable members, I have taken cognizance of the announcement made by my predecessor on Tuesday, 2nd July 2024, regarding questions falling under the purview of local authorities. I must emphasize that the former Speaker had, at no point in time, expressed the view that all questions regarding local authorities would de facto be disallowed. However, being given the fact that the said ruling gave rise to confusion as to distinguish which questions fall within the category of national interest and which fall under operational activities for which municipalities and district council are endowed with sufficient autonomy to manage their own local affairs. Nonetheless, I rule that henceforth, all questions pertaining to local authorities would be allowed in line with past practice of the House. For my fifth announcement, concerning the access to the precincts of the Assembly by suspended members on non-sitting days. Honourable members, my last announcement relates to the precinct of the Assembly, to the access to the precinct of the Assembly by members who are under suspension. I have been informed that access was denied to those members on days during which the Assembly was not sitting, except, of course, when any of those members were serving on any committee of the Assembly. In that regard, my reading of the provision of Standing Orders 49.5 and 49.6 of the Standing Orders and Rules of the Assembly is clear that members who have been suspended from the service of the Assembly are precluded from the precincts of the House only on sitting days. I therefore rule that henceforth suspended members shall be allowed to have access to the precincts of the Assembly on any day other than a sitting day. Moreover, I wish to apprise the House that it has been brought to my attention that some controversy has arisen concerning the modalities for the drawing of lots for determining the order of parliamentary questions. I wish to inform the House that I will personally look into this matter to ensure that fairness and equity prevail at all times. I thank you for your attention.